I'm going to show you how an AI app builder is helping me build a custom tool that is going to help save my client hours of time. My name is Lauren Evans. I'm an automation and tech expert, and I specialize in helping online businesses to operate more easily, efficiently, and affordably. So I recently got back from Nashville, where I was working with one of my clients, Hillis Custom Processing. And the whole goal was for us to spend time identifying some of their most time-consuming processes so that we could streamline them. And while I was there, we realized that the number one process that was taking just way too much of their time was handling their beef reservations. There's a few different sides to their business. They do the processing of beef. They also have a market where you can buy steaks and different appetizers and fresh dairy products. And then the third side was this beef reservation side, or really where they raise beef that someone like you or I could reserve, right? So how it works is we already set up a wonderful kind of interest form online using Jotform, which is my tried and true favorite online form platform. And we set it up so that if people are interested in purchasing a beef that they have available, they can give their name, their email, and say whether they would like a half beef, a quarter beef, or a whole beef, and when they're looking for that beef, right? Because people will often forecast they will need more meat to stock their freezer in the summer or in the winter. So we already had that set up. But when the time came that the Hillis family actually had beef that were available and ready for sale, they would go to that interest form and they'd have to go customer by customer to call. And they would call the first customer and say, you mentioned you were interested in a whole beef. Here are our options, A, B, and C. What sounds good to you? That person would ask a few questions. 9 times out of 10, they would say, can I get back to you because I want to speak to my spouse or my significant other? Obviously, they say, you're more than welcome to. Well, at that point, they can't call the next person on the list because they want to make sure that they've mentioned A, B, and C to this first customer, and they want to give them that right. So then they wait for that person to call back. Then they can move on to the next customer. Well, if that next customer doesn't answer, they might leave a few messages. And you can see how this goes on and becomes very time consuming. It takes a while for them to reserve all the beef. So we were looking for a solution that would make this easier, where they could send out a mass message to all of the people that were interested, letting them know that the beef were available, where they could easily look at all of their options, reserve their different sizes, and the Hillis family did not have to spend so much time on the phone. As we were looking for options, I started, again, toying around with Jotform, my tried and true online form platform. And in doing so, I'll kind of show you what we began to play around with here. Again, this is just the start. This is not the finished product. But we thought, well, maybe we can offer an option where people can purchase a quarter of a beef, right? We can say, here are the beef that are available. Here is the weight. Here would be the potential pricing. No, of course, these are not accurate. These are just simple numbers for illustration. And somebody could purchase 1 quarter. They could purchase 2 quarters, which would be a half beef, or 4 quarters for a whole beef. Now, does this work or could this work for them? Absolutely. Is this ideal? No. There are some problems. So one, it allows people to purchase 3 quarters of a beef, which is really not something that they offer. And it's just not very clean. People that are looking for a whole beef would think they just want 1. They're not going to think 4. So we didn't love it, but it was a possible solution. Here's where it gets exciting. So right before my trip, I was contacted by a company called Anything, which they call themselves an AI app builder. Now, I would say they're more an AI build anythinger, because they can build websites, they can build apps, like full-blown apps that are published to the Apple Store, the Google Play Store. They can create programs, dashboards, tools. And so I told them I was about to go on a trip. I said, I would be interested in checking out your product and possibly becoming an affiliate and sharing more about it. But I really want to test it out first. I want to see, is it as easy to use as you claim it is? Can I really just use simple prompts to build what I'm looking to build? And so I said, let me test it out when I get back. So in God's perfect timing, I am now back from my trip. I have this unique challenge, if you will, of wanting to save my clients time on this beef reservation process. And I need to test a new program called Anything. I figured this was the perfect opportunity for me to put it to the test, for me to see what exactly Anything could do, and if it could truly build out a tool like this that has the technology and the logic built in that knows, hey, if we say there's 1 beef available, it knows that that's either 1 whole, 4 quarters or 2 halves. And if 1 half is purchased, it knows that either 1 half or 2 quarters are available. And it knows it's not a both situation, right? If one of those quarters is taken, it knows only 1 quarter remains, right? Like, that is some sophisticated logic. So I got to work in anything. And let me just give you a sneak peek first at what it built. And then I'll kind of take you behind the scenes and show you what I did to create it and how simple it really was to use. Because as I mentioned, I would not be here talking about it if I did not believe in it. So let me show you. Here is, and again, this is not fully built out. This is a sample that I started building to see if I liked it. And in taking it to my clients, they're like, we love it. Let's continue building it out. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you can kind of see the progression of this and what we end up building and how this comes to life. So first and foremost, this is what we have built. Here you see it shows available cattle. This is night and day from what Jotform had looked like. Again, nothing against Jotform. I absolutely love it. I use it for so many things, but it just didn't have that sophisticated extra level of logic and technology to do this and to look like this. I mean, look at this. Look how functional this looks. You can easily see the different beef that are available. You, as a user, can see the different weights. If there's a ready date, someone could choose a whole, a half, or a quarter, and it immediately changes. Like, again, pricing in pounds are not accurate here. You can click reserve and fill out a form. So all of this was built using AI, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So with anything, it starts just like any AI chat would. You have to prompt it. And the key is you always want to start small. Start with each little bite, right? You want to think of it like you are training an assistant in your business, or if you were going to teach your toddler how to cook a recipe, right? You're not going to give them all the steps in the beginning, right? You're going to start small. You're going to start with, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's what we're creating. Okay, and then we need it to do this. And then we need it to do this. You want to continue building on to each previous prompt. So here's how I started. Build a web app for managing beef reservations. A family business raises cattle and will be selling their cattle in whole, half, and quarter quantities. There should be a customer-facing interface where customers can browse the different cattle sizes that are currently available and the estimated price for the beef and size/quantity chosen, and then reserve the one they want without payment. What I loved about this program was not only did it build it out, and no, this was not the first version. I will go back and show you kind of the first rendition of what it built. But it tells me exactly what it created. So you'll notice here, and I will not read all of this to you, but you'll notice here it says what I created. It created a database with 2 tables. It shows me the name. It shows me it created backend API, a custom interface or a customer interface, and exactly what that interface includes, how it works, and this is the best part, you guys. It even includes next steps as to what you may want to build next. So it gives you ideas as to what it can do and what, based on what you're building, you may need or want or what may help. Let me go ahead and show you. Actually, we'll stop and I'll show you what it initially built. So this is the first rendition of what it built, kind of more of a website. And it did have the ability here to reserve the beef. Now, it did actually load. It just says failed to load now because I made edits to it and updated it since. But you can see it did build it out. It was purple. It had kind of a generic graphic here. What I'm looking at here in the back, if you're curious, is these are all the different, at each prompt, it shows me what it created. So at any stage, I could go back and restore a previous version of what was created. So this also allows me to show you where we started from. So let me show you what it looked like a couple versions in. So after it created this first version, I gave it another prompt, and I will go back and read that to you. So here you could see this first version. What I told it was, I said, for beef reservations, the business will upload their current inventory of cattle. For instance, cattle 1 at this many pounds at a certain price, cattle 2 at this many, and customers will be able to browse the current selection and choose if they want a whole, half, or quarter of that beef. If somebody chooses half of beef 1, then inventory automatically needs to update, so only half or 2 quarters of beef 1 are available. This was really key to me, right? Before I got into too much design work, I wanted to make sure that it could do this. It can build in this logic. I don't even know what it's called, but whether it's like conditional logic, whether it's coding, but I wanted to make sure that it could do this. That was the key. So we started there, and you can see that it says everything's working perfectly. There's a new inventory model, and it shows the logic here that it built into the system. It gives an example. It even says that it tested the flow for me. Yes, it actually uses AI to test the flows for you. And again, it gives me suggestions for you may want to add an admin page or email notifications. I said, great, let's add an admin page where they can add and remove inventory. It was literally as simple as me copying this and saying add and pasting its own sentence, and it built it for me. So this is pretty much the version that we had at that point. I think it had added some descriptions in here, some language about the description and the breed. And I said, take that out. We don't need it. I literally just said, can you remove the description and breeds field? And this is what it gave me. So this was basically version 1 of what AI or this anything AI tool built for me. So I loved it. Now, what I noticed was down here at the bottom, I was seeing this little red X, okay, which means there was some sort of error in the code. And I know nothing about coding, guys. Like, that is not my wheelhouse. So what I loved about anything was it has a built-in way for you to fix the errors. You literally just click on the error. Let's see if it'll let me do it here. Oh, it does. So I can click here, and then there is a button you can click try to fix. And so that's what I did here. And it went ahead and let me close this, fixed the error for me. And that was fantastic. I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to know what the error was. It just went ahead and completely fixed it for me. So then I said, great, like I'm loving this so far, but could I customize it? Like purple is not the brand's color. As you probably noticed, it's orange. That was on the other form. So I wanted it to change the form to orange. We're going to go back here really quick. So again, at each stage, kind of going back, it added the admin page. It told me what it did, what it added, adding new cattle, and then again, asked if I want other things added. I had it remove the descriptions. It tells me everything it did. I asked it to fix the error. It says all clean. Here's what we fixed. Everything is rendering properly now. And then it always shows you the different pages it built. Then I asked it to change the color to orange. So here's where I encountered, I don't know if I'd say it was a glitch, but just a little hiccup. So I asked it to change the color to orange. Now, every time it was refreshing over here in this screen, or every time I would press this refresh button, it was still showing me purple. And I couldn't figure out why. If I'm being honest, I think all I needed to do was hit the refresh up here, because I tried a few different things, never really got it to change to orange. Again, you'll see I had, can you change the color? Can you remove this line? I restored an old project because I thought maybe I did a poor prompt. Again, tried a different version of the prompt, restored. So as you can see, I tried a few different things. I even tried saying like, change the color specifically, right? Because that's something that's pretty cool is you can actually screenshot a portion of the page and feed it into the prompt saying, remove this text from here, or change this color from here, or remove this whole section. So I was trying different things. And when I was pretty much stumped and couldn't figure out why it wasn't working, I just refreshed and reloaded the entire anything, browser, you would say. And at that point, I noticed everything was orange. So I think it was just a little bit of a glitch, maybe an operator error. As I said, this was my first time using anything. But once I did that, I noticed everything was correct. I was now seeing orange and the brand color. So that was the good news. Again, I just want to be transparent with you guys about what I experienced and how easy it was to use, or just little tips and tricks. Okay, so once I got the colors all sorted out, I told you earlier that we asked it to build in an admin page, right? But I haven't shown you that yet. So let's go ahead and take a look at the admin page. I am able to go ahead and toggle to that from this little toolbar up here. I can go to all the different pages that are available. This was the admin page or dashboard that it had started to build out for me. And at the time, when you pressed add cattle, it gave me a URL field here where I would have to enter a URL, an image URL field, in order to have a photo upload for that individual beef. I said, they're not going to have a URL. They're either going to want to upload a photo. I think that would be more their style. Could we change that? Again, just kind of testing some of the options here to see what's available. So I said, when adding cattle, change the image URL field. I use the exact name of the field and said, change it to an upload field. And as you can see, it is now an image upload field. And it shows me exactly, there's an upload button, there's a live preview. It tells you exactly what it did and what you are getting with what you've built. So you can make sure it's doing exactly what you want it to do. I'm not going to take you through every single one of these steps, but I just want to go over them briefly so you can see exactly what's available and how easy it was for me to do these. I said, it'd be nice if we had a date field, right? Maybe at some point they do have more beef and they're able to say these are ready in, March, these are ready in April. So I said, add a field where we can have an estimated date showing when the beef would be ready. And it added that field, and it added it both to the actual website or the reservation tool, if you will, and it added it to the back end in the admin dashboard. I noticed it had very generic contact info down below. So I asked it to replace the contact info with actual contact info of the company. I also then said, can you add the logo? So again, you want each one of these to be an individual step, right? You want to give it one step at a time so it doesn't get overwhelmed and that it can do it correctly. And then it can go through and change it everywhere from here to up here and just make sure it's in all the proper locations. I then asked it to change the photo here because it used to be a piece of steak before, which I didn't love. So I said, let's do a cute cartoon photo of cows. And then it gave me a few different versions. I was able to pick which version I wanted. I got rid of the top page or portion, if you will. So this whole portion that it had here that made it look like more of a entire web page as opposed to just a reservation tool. I said, let's go ahead and remove that section. I literally said, remove the hero section, and poof, it was gone. I said, let's add the ability to view reservations from the admin side. Because at the time, all my client would have been able to do was to add the cattle that were available. But I said, wait, it'd be helpful for them to see what's been reserved, who has the reservations. So it added a whole reservations tab here that, again, I can continue customizing until my heart is content. So it tells you exactly what it's added, which is great because I can say, hey, remove the stats at a glance. Or I want to be able to click into each detailed card. And I know what terminology to use based on what anything is calling it. I said, add a search function to find specific customers. So that is now an option. So if Susan Smith calls and there's a long list of reservations, they can quickly type in Susan and find that reservation. So this just gives you a little idea. I was able to see, what kind of columns I want on this dashboard. So if I wanted to see more columns, I even said I wanted to be able to choose the columns. So it gave me a drop down or a button here where I can choose the columns that are available in my dashboard. So all the features that you're used to seeing in modern tools and programs, it appears to be able to be built into these tools and dashboards that anything is building for us. So this is extremely exciting. I said, add a field on this table so we can see the ready date. I asked, are we able to, if we wanted to build this out into a full website, could we inject code into the header tag to have a cookie pop up and a cookie banner? And it said yes, and it told me exactly how. I received another error. I was able to fix it. So as you can see, anything is absolutely blowing my mind. It is created a tool that I was not able to find or recreate anywhere with any other platforms or online forums. And even if I was, there was no way it was going to look, honestly, as like fantastic and user-friendly and fun and just have such a great overall user interface. Let me use the right tech words here. That it's just easy to navigate, easy to see the prices. It's inviting to fill out. It's easy for those who are going to be reserving beef, and it's easy for my client who's going to be managing this process. They can easily see their reservations. They can navigate and add cattle. We can build functionality where they can confirm with customers or tell them that the beef is ready. So I'm really excited to continue working with anything and to also continue working with my client to see how exactly we can dial this in, what other functionality they would like to see built into this. and to see them use it with their next round of beef that is available. So if you want to give anything a try, they have been so gracious. They have brought me on as an affiliate and given me a code to share so that you can get a whole free month of Anything Pro. So I will drop the link and the code in the notes below. But I encourage you to give it a try. It is absolutely amazing. I've played around with a few other things. So if you would like, I can create a couple more videos showing you some different things I've created. Just let me know in the comments if you would be interested in seeing other things I've created. Or if you even have ideas of things that we'd like to see if anything can create that tool or that app or that site or whatever it is you have on your mind. So let me know. Be sure to subscribe so you can see part 2 and see how we bring this to life. And if you would like help, whether it's building, a Jotform, building an anything app, or just figuring out what tools are right for you, I will leave a link below for my Tackle My Tech sessions. Until next time, again, my name is Lauren Evans, and I will talk to you soon.